Same thing, I go to the gym. Guess what? If I'm at the gym worrying about my family or worrying about business, I'm not gonna be able to be 100% there, right? My name is Jose Moreno. On this podcast, we discuss current and future trends in the electrical industry. Welcome to the life of an electrical contractor. Today I actually wanted to talk to you guys. It's already February. A lot of stuff's been going on. Exciting stuff, right? January felt like actually a very long month. Got a lot of stuff done, got a lot of stuff moving. Hopefully you guys are excited as I am for the year and actually for what was created in January. Something I wanted to talk to you about was I don't even know if it's lifestyle or it's habits or it's work, right? But I just want I know I may have gone into a little bit of this in the past in a previous episode, but I wanted to bring it up again because it's something that, well, first of all, it's my life, so it's constantly revolving and it's constantly evolving. And it's how I create results, right? So if you're watching this and you're probably like, oh, I want some of those results, or I want to try to do some of that stuff, or how are you doing this? It's only common and it's only normal that I would share this, right? So some of the things I wrote down or I listed out that I do on a daily basis is, I meditate, I work out, I read, I journal. Obviously, I work, and I work to make money. I work to plant seeds, right? And obviously, I also work to create impact, right? I also invest, right? I invest time with my family, my wife, my daughter, my son, my other loved ones, right? And I invest time in me. Now, what does all that mean, right? I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but most people already have probably given up on their New Year's resolutions. And I thought this was critical at this time because, forget about New Year's resolutions. It's change your daily habits and then all of a sudden your life's going to change. I don't know what the saying goes, but that's basically the way I live, right? So what does meditate mean? What does workout mean? Reading, journaling, obviously working, making money, right? Living life, right? Having date nights with my wife, spending time with my son, spending time with my daughter, spending time as a family. And then of course, actually spending time with myself, taking time for me, right? I know a lot of people have heard of mind, body, soul. And what I've practiced is something, they're called 4 B's, right? And it's actually called being, bonds, body, and business, right? It's a full circle. And I don't really practice balance. Not that I'm saying anything wrong about balance, right? I know a lot of people say you should have a balance of life work, right? But one of the things that one of the strategies I learned, or one of the mantras, I guess that I follow is, and it makes sense. So if you balance and you have 2 things, that means it's 50-50. Right? If you really are committed to something and you want to give 100, let's just say you want to give 80, if it's a balance, then it's going to be tipped. So if you want to give 80% to your business, that means you're only going to give 20% to your family, right? If you want to give 80% to your family, then that means you're only going to give 20% to your business. And that's just 2 things. What about the other parts? So let's just say, what about you? Now we add another part into this balance, right? Well, guess what? I'm going to say we need another part to counter it. So now, before you know it, you're kind of and I'm sure there's more areas in your life. Before you know, you got 10% here, you got 10 things, you got each thing you're giving 10%. Maybe you're giving 100% of that 10%, but what if you can give 80% of yourself to something? So what we use, or what I use is called, what we use in the being, bonds, body, and business is full engagement into the one section when I'm in it, right? It's almost like if I'm going to be focused on my being or on my body or on my bonds or on my business, at that moment, I'm focused 100%, right? I integrate that into that 100%. Now, it doesn't mean that I forget about the other 3, but at that moment, I'm 100%, or at least the most that I can, 80% in business. Same thing when I go home. You know what? I'm with my family, so I'm at 80% of there. Same thing, I go to the gym. Guess what? If I'm at the gym worrying about my family or worrying about business, I'm not gonna be able to be 100% there, right? So this is the issue with balance that I've been trying to discover, and I've been seeing, and I've been using a strategy of integration, right? But the reason I wanted to bring this up, because like I said, I know I spoke about this before, but the reason I wanted to bring this up was because you're probably like, man, what the fuck does all this really mean, right? And I was speaking to a friend recently who was like, man, Jose, I've been watching you, I see your YouTubes and I follow you on Instagram. And on top of that, I know you, we've done business together. We still, do some business. We talk on the outside outside of work. And he's like, what do you do? Like, I get it. You do all these things, but what do you do? So I started explaining to him like, hey, you know what? Every morning, my typical morning, I wake up, if it's a school day, I drop off my son, I come back. If I have to drop off my daughter at school, I drop her off. I meditate. I work out. If it's my workout day, I go to work. Actually, I read. I journal. I go to work. I go all out at work. Come back. End the day, right? And again, it's a 7-day process. It's not just a 1 day a week. And then he started to ask me a little deeper questions like, well, what do you meditate? Like, what do you do? What is that? And it's like, in the simplest form, meditating is just basically sitting still, right? Quietly sitting still or standing still. So like one of the meditations that I practice on a daily basis is, we call it a ritual, right? It's which ritual is just something you do every day. It doesn't need to be this, oh my God, this dramatic thing. It's just a ritual is something you do, right? Many religions have rituals, right? Many families have rituals. So really don't take this term and turn it into something giant. It's just something I do each day. And it has modalities in there, right? And basically what I do is I reset. At its core level, it's a reset. I do it every day, and it's necessary to be done every day because, well, every day that I wake up, I got to go face all these challenges all over again, right? And a lot of these challenges are just created by me, right? Can I really do this today? Am I really going to succeed at this crap I'm saying? Am I actually being am I being the best father I can? Am I being the best husband that I can? Am I not? Where can I do better? Or, oh, I'm not good enough for that. Or, you know what? Perhaps that ship has sailed. Or all the crap that I know I tell myself in my head. And I'm sure if you look at yourself in the mirror, I'm sure you can hear a lot of the crap you tell yourself. Oh, you know what? I should have done that. Or I should have did this, right? But back to the conversation. I'm talking to the guy and I'm telling him all these things. And I'm excited because I love talking about it because it's my life, man. I mean, this is what I do 7 days a week. Okay. I make a joke that I think in the last 4 years, I've missed twice. And one of them was because we were on maybe like 3 years ago, we were going to Thailand and we were literally on a plane for 17 hours and I couldn't do this meditation on the plane just because it was a little awkward. Today, I probably would try, but anyway, at the time, I just thought it was a little awkward, so I didn't do it. And then another time was, I think I was sick or something, but when I got COVID like 2 years ago, I did it laying down. So for me, at least from my experience, I have no excuses to do it. It's up to me to do it, right? So I'm telling him this, that what I do on a daily basis, how I read and I journal, and he starts telling me, man, that sounds like a lot of work. It's exciting, but, and he's like, man, I can see how you talk about it, how you feel alive and how you want to go to work and how even when challenges show up, you want to perhaps give up, but you're like, you know what, let me put this down on paper. Let me figure out another strategy. Let me look at this from another way. And he's like, I love that you could just call it, positivity or whatever you want to call it, that you bring to the situation. But, and of course I told him, I'm like, well, all that is not just, I'm not positive all the time. I get pissed off a lot and I do yell and I do lose my shit, but this is what helps me reset. And he's like, I get it, but man, that just seems like a lot of work. I already have a full-time job. I have a wife and I have 3 kids, and it's like, when am I going to make time to do this? When am I going to get time to do this? And I sat there and I've had many conversations with guys about this, and none of them were originally my friends. It was people that I met in places, and then we just started talking about. But this one, he's a friend, and part of me wanted to tell him like, come on, man. Why not? And then the other part of me was like, you know what? I have to understand that where he's coming from, right? So the first thing I told him was, there's a saying that says, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, right? And, I truly believe in that because yes, I come to work every day and yes, there's days that I want to pull my hair out. Today, I didn't want to pull my hair out, but I might have wanted to rip this sweater apart before I started this. And that's just life. That's reality, right? Having a discussion on accounts payable and receivable. And you know what? Some things didn't go my way or, and all of a sudden I want to fight something, right? And then I realized, well, that's not going to solve anything, right? And then obviously some guys here and some guys there are not doing what they're supposed to, or jobs are not getting done the way I thought they should have gotten done. But you know what? That's all part of the game. But at the core level, I love what I do. I love this industry. I love the fact that not just me, but my team, right, can help a company out in a problem that they have. Perhaps they have an idea, but they don't know how to put it into play. Perhaps they know like, hey, look, I want this to happen, but I'm not sure how. And it's like, oh man, this is what we do, man. This is what we do. And we can help move. It's almost like we're helping the train. We're helping push the train. So I love it. I love creating things. I love building things. So I love this. And at the beginning, obviously I was building with my hands. And then I realized how to build with actual numbers. And then I realized how to build with pieces, right? With actual things, with actual putting teams into place that actually can build things. So I love this, right? But, back to the guy's conversation, I told him that, and he's like, I don't know, Jose. I don't know if I can add all this stuff to my life. I just have so much going on. And I told him, I'm like, regardless of what you think of this or what you think of what you should be doing, a better question that you can ask, and are you worth the investment? Because obviously the number one thing that he's fighting is the work, right? And it's the time. I don't have time. That was my favorite, and I still say it, actually. I still say I don't have time, but it's a little different now. But I tell people like, are you worth the investment? And I told him, I'm like, are you worth the investment? And he goes, well, and then I told him, hold on, what do you want? What exactly do you want? What do you desire, right? And then I asked him, would you even invest in yourself if you were not you? Like, let's say somebody else was looking at you. Would you invest in yourself? And he just, again, zero talk. He wasn't saying anything. And now, because all of a sudden everything just started spitting out of me. And then I told him, like, everyone wants to achieve something. But the question you got to constantly ask yourself is, what is it that I want to achieve? See, when that becomes clear, then you can review your daily actions and your tasks and all the shit you're doing and actually be able to say, well, is this actually getting me closer to that thing that I want? Or further away? That's it. That's what I've realized. Now, that's why I enjoy meditating, right? Because it gets me closer to what I want to achieve. That's why I enjoy going to the gym and I enjoy going to yoga, because it's challenging. I get mad sometimes, but I continue because I realize that I'm getting a little better each day. Now, to me, I say easy, right? It's easy because I decided to make the decision. I know it's not easy. It's hard. It's real hard. I have to, there's days I don't want to go. So guess what? Those days is like, oh man, I got to fight myself, or I should say I have to talk to myself, and I have to not necessarily convince myself, because that's not what that shit doesn't really work, right? I more have to ask myself, Jose, is this what you really wanted? Because if you don't really want this, then don't go. And then that's how I get to it. Sometimes, you know what? Nah, this is not what I wanted. And if it's not what I wanted, then you know what? I don't do that. But if I don't ask myself that, if those questions don't come up, and if those questions come up, if you're not even willing to look at them, then you're not giving yourself any gifts. You're not giving yourself any opportunity, because you're trying to go 100 miles an hour somewhere, but you don't even know where. So definitely understanding what you want helps you, right? So I then told him, I'm like, you want to become this badass, right? You want to become this person that achieves things, right? How can you become this person? Of course, then I asked him, are you a badass right now? And he says, oh, well, I got this and I got that. And I'm like, okay, so if you have this and you got that and you don't feel like you're a badass now, but you're not willing to try anything new, how are you going to become a badass? You're going to continue doing the same exact thing? Well, I'm like, well, you see, that's kind of like the game that we have in our heads that we just keep going around, going in circles. So I told him, get clear on what you're willing to do. Once you get clear on what you're willing to do, you can then start to go for it. Remember, I told you, I ask myself this question every day. And then I remind myself why I chose this every day. Because there's days that I'm like, oh, and then it's like, oh yeah, I chose this. I forgot. I chose to run this. I chose to do this. I chose to get this job, right? Let's just say I signed a contract with a client and things are not going the way perhaps we planned. It's like, oh, you know what? This one actually was me. I chose this. So I have to take it as well, right? But remember the things that I mentioned at the beginning: being, bonds, body, and business. It's 4 things. It's a circle. And if you can bring attention to those areas on a daily basis, because that's what it's got to be, a daily basis, you can then begin to really start to create change in your life. And obviously, if you know about forest fires, all you need is a little momentum and those things start moving. So to me, you start paying attention to these 4 things on a daily basis, start building a little momentum. Before you know it, you're like, you're on the move. Anyway, at the end of that conversation with the guy, he says, yeah, I'm going to think about it, because it's still a lot of work. It's like a whole nother job, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that. And I told him, you're right. you definitely need to think about it. And that's when I realized that this is not for everybody. As much as I may want it, as much as the stuff that I've gone through, the stuff that I've learned, I want to share it with you and I want you to go out and try it. It may not be for you. And that doesn't mean that you're not good or bad or nothing. It just means that you're not ready. But you will. You will. Just pay attention to what you do on a daily basis, because it's like you getting in the car, driving somewhere, but not knowing where the fuck you're going. I'm sure it'll be a lot it'll help a lot more for you to, it'll be a lot, how could I say? I'm sure you're gonna get faster to the location you wanna get to if you know where you're heading. If I wanna go to the mall, I put the mall and I know I'm gonna go. But if I start driving, I don't know where I'm going, wishing I get to the mall, I'm probably not gonna get to the mall. So anyway, I wanted to share that because it's February. We just finished January and it's still the first quarter. Things maybe they didn't break as the way you wanted it, and maybe you had a slow start. Maybe the holidays were a little too long. You still have an opportunity. Don't think that, oh no, that's it, it's over. You still have an opportunity. Start with something. Maybe you want to start with reading. Start reading. I was just talking to Jesse here and he's talking about starting to read books. Read 10 or 15 minutes. You don't need to read an hour. Do something that you can start with. It's a step. It's a step. You don't need to take 100 steps day one. Start with one step. Go to the gym, work out for 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. Don't go to the gym and work out 3 hours. How many days are you going to do that? Go one, maybe a half hour. Maybe that's your, find your sweet spot and then you start working on it. Thing is, pay attention to what you're doing, and most importantly, be clear on what you want. It's the only way you're going to be able to figure out how to get it. All right? So as always, thank you for listening. If any of this info you find valuable, hit that subscribe button. And if anybody wants to know any more about ritual or things that perhaps you want to try or strategies, shoot me a message. I'll be more than glad to reply to you or even get in a conversation. All right. As well as remember to share it with someone who may need to hear this. And I'll catch you in the next one.